Namaste, assalamu alaikum, shalom, buenos dias, ni hao, no esquino, aquaba, what up though? This is the weekly meeting of our uNi village. The hour is 15:22 Eastern Standard Zone. And this weekly meeting of our uNi village is called to order. Oh, it is day 7 of the intercalary period of year 722 after the commencement of the Parliament of the World's Religions, year 70 after the founding of the United Nations. It is day 2 of the week and day 4 of the new moon. We begin with a blessing. May all beings be well. We continue with a recitation of our mantra. We, the sentient beings of our uNi village, observe the antiquated institutions and systems facilitating convention, and we believe we can do better. We recognize the historic and contemporary harm we cause each other, and we are dedicated to do better. We are dedicated to reconciliation. The wisdom of our ancestors, prophets, and sages tells us we do better by exercising compassion towards each other and all life. This begins by fundamentally respecting all beings, all life, all phenomena, and this continues through enhancing the wellness of all beings and all life steadfastly as universal citizens. We are better learning that when we do this, we also enhance our own respective individual wellness. Thus, we reconstruct our institutions and systems to be proficiently compassionate and transcendent. This includes our institutions and systems of religion, government, education, health, finance, commerce, socialization, and additionally. We fundamentally challenge previous precepts, theories, laws, and methodologies of selfishness. We declare a new age of compassion. And whilst our new institutions and systems supplant the antiquated institutions and systems, we facilitate this process with maximum peace, humility, stability, efficiency, and compassion. We practice wealth ethos, including Ahimsa Ubuntu Veritas Haya Shu Maka Huga Samadhi Shema Shubono Narab. The preceding text is provided for this purpose. Love and peace. So, for attendance, Peter Johansson Osisi is on the books, and there is an absence of any official viewers at the moment. Emergency urgent proposition. So there's an absence of an emergency or urgent proposition. There is an announcement regarding the stand that our native community is making against against a project for establishing a pipeline of oil, fossil fuels. So there's a stand being made. There is some confrontation within this stand. It involves, like I say, our native community. It also involves police forces from settler government. It also involves security forces from the private companies. So I just share that accordingly. So again, there's an absence of a proposition to be decided at this moment. I mean, obviously there's support for the stand and for maintaining the health and well-being of people, the beings, the animals, but also the life and Mother Earth in Amaka, in keeping the integrity of the waterways and the land in a harmonious manner. So there's that. That being communicated. Minutes. Other than that, there's an absence of any emergency or urgent proposition. For minutes, the previous meeting is convened a week ago on day 29 of month 12 of year 122, after the commencement of the Parliament of the World's Religions, year 70 after the founding of the United Nations, day 2 of the week, and day 13 of the full moon. The meeting begins at 15:03, so again, 2 hours after schedule. The blessing is recited, mantra is recited. Attendance includes Peter Johansson Osisi on the books. Absence of urgency propositions. The minutes are read, agenda is read. Old business includes vote of co-op update, International Day of Peace update, solar power studies, buddies on next door. uNi Village experience. What the experience is here in our uNi Village. Update regarding our WOWIM Kapitikahik, our global federation of villages, including social networking platform. New business includes jiu-jitsu, vegan health clinic fair, and the water supply. And another item of old business, again, I think I'll also put this out of order too, is social activists, co-ops, independent media. That's what is discussed for old business and new business. Announcements includes the upcoming, it previously passes, observances of Amavasya and Upasada, as well as Rosh Chodesh within Amavasya within Hinduism, Upasada within Buddhism, Rosh Chodesh within Judaism, Juma within Islam, Shabbat within Judaism, and Sunday worship within Christianity. So all of that happens within the past week. For benevolent news, I sing Kumbaya, this is the light of mine, and lift every voice. The benediction is recited in. I'll see if I can get through it without before sneezing. The benediction is recited, and the meeting is concluded at 15:34 Eastern Standard Zone. Those are the minutes from the previous meeting. The agenda for this meeting includes update regarding VOTIF co-op, village experience, including the International Day of Peace, social networking platform, and new business includes activist flats. And there's a new item on our agenda, a line item or topical item, which is WOWIM Kavitkahik update. So actually within the weekly meetings of our Global Federation of Villages, our WOWIM Kavitkahik, there is a new inclusion of local villages updates. So correspondingly, it's appropriate for us to include an update regarding WOWIM Kavitkahik as an official kind of headliner or topical line in the agenda, rather than just as included within old business. So that is a new topical item that is included, and as always, announcements, benevolent news, benediction as well. So that's the agenda. So continuing into old business. So with our vote of co-op, there's actually little to discuss in terms of updates within the past week. I have some work to do in terms of doing some bookkeeping and writing some materials. We are continuing with this format of being like the medium, the connectors, establishing wholesale accounts with suppliers, and then connecting purchasers directly with the suppliers, and so that the purchasers pay the money to the suppliers directly rather than to us, and have this product shipped to us, and we issue credits to the purchasers. So that is our methodology. We are strengthening that. We're also strengthening how we describe this, as well as ironing out some of the details that are involved within this, like how the transactions are actually made, who has information regarding credit card information, and additionally. So those are some of the updates regarding that. I'm also in the process, or I'm charged with putting together an information packet for prospective buyers. I guess that's an appropriate word to use for the people instead of purchasers, buyers, and having basic information, and doing as much hand holding as I can, given my little patience, and have that available for people to encourage participation. So that's some of the updates regarding Vote of Co-op. We're also working to connect with local groups, and this is something that worked for months, but that's something that continues on our agenda and in our intentionality. So that is much of what's happening with Vodafone. Oh, well, yeah. There's little that changes since a week ago, since the previous meeting. So there's that. In regards to village experience, so I'm continuing to hang out in front of the building. I'm continuing to hang out at the spot, at the steps, at the bench, and additionally, and so actually this past week on Viernes, on Friday, vendredi, vendredi, I actually circulate, hiccups and sneezes, oh my. Anyway, I circulate some flyers for the International Day of Peace. People seem to be receptive to it. It's being absorbed. It is in the ether. So that is favorable. So that's much of what happens. On that, things are pretty much same old, same old. There's little to discuss. Oh, I think I already mentioned this happens over a week ago. That a local religious leader offers help in terms of planning for International Day of Peace. There has yet to be. I respond, and there has yet to be a return response. However, that's at least explicitly. So there's a an improvement in the vibe here. And it's, I mean, obviously that's an abstract, intangible kind of thought and experience or communication. However, it's palpable, and it's positive. So that is favorable and appreciated, and encouraged. So that's what's happening with our village experience in that respect. In regards to social networking platform, I'm still planning to look into Sprues as an option for establishing the network, along with some other projects. So that's just something on my to-do list. I mean, basically the two services that are being compared are Sprues and Ning. Ning is basically twice as much as the identified plan option with Sprues. It may have additional features, including connectivity with Facebook. However, there's uncertainty about what the actual features are, whether those features are actually available on Ning, whether the same features are available on Sprues or absent, what other features are absent or included with Ning that may be included or absent within Sprues, and then what all of that means in terms of engagement with loved ones, in terms of encouraging people who are participating on Facebook at the moment to continue to participate on the new social networking platform, and then additional people to participate as well. So all that is being considered. And there's actually intention of making some type of move within the next, in terms of the social networking, in the next, soon, next week maybe. Again, my estimation of hours and days and things like that is extremely modest. So that's that. On to new business, and as the warplanes fly overhead. So new business includes the activist front, activist flats. So basically, I shared before the idea or the intention and the interest of this courtyard project of transforming this area into a kind of like almost like an intentional community with independent, autonomous infrastructure, utilities, renewable energy facility. So that's still in the works. It's on the back burner, and it's for myself at least. It's on the back burner, but it's in the works. And even though I've abstained from mentioning it directly, explicitly within the past few weeks of previous meetings, and it had changed from being explicitly on the agenda as far as I can recall, as much as I can recall. Still in the works. All that said, there's also, and this can be included within it, it's something to consider, but basically the consideration is to directly approach some activist friends, and with the solicitation of moving into an apartment building together, and basically pulling some resources together, pooling, Pooling, some resources together to provide a certain foundation to acquire stewardship of the building. And I mean, again, it's appropriate for the trust compact to be a prerequisite, essentially. And with that, utilizing the pooled resources to encourage basically an investor, a benevolent investor, to basically through conventional means acquire stewardship of a building, and essentially be the manager or the steward of that building. And the activists would continue to do what the activists do, whatever the occupations are, whatever, and pay rent or whatever well, in this sense, pay rent to the steward in a very conventional manner, but with the intentionality of living as essentially an intentional community. What that actually means in terms of the extent of cooperation, whether people simply have a shared ideology and simply lead different lives, whatever, or whether there's some kind of regular cooperative activity and or requirements that remains to be determined. But that's the basic idea. I have a number of activist friends in mind to approach. I'm uncertain how many are maybe immediately interested in participating in such a venture. One, the resources is one thing, putting that together. So the idea is basically to put for each activist or each individual to put together first and last month's rent, and put that into a kitty, and have that be as a like I say, an incentive for an investor to see that here are activists that agree to this ethos of the trust compact, and have intentionality and want to live in community and together in an apartment building, and then encourage an investor to cover the remainder of it, or the vast amount of the required amount to acquire the stewardship of the building, and in a set terms for the monthly leasing of the flats, of the units. So that's the idea. And okay, like I said, I'm uncertain how many activist friends may be interested in this, but the idea is that friends know friends, and all it takes is a handful. I mean, most of the apartment buildings here are about 10 units or so. Some are maybe double that, some maybe upward, plus or minus a few. So again, it only requires a few stewards, or a few occupants, or a few residents, activists to sign on and put together first month, last month. I mean, that's what a lot of management companies require anyways. It may be considerably steep, particularly considering that this is something that would be in the works. So it would involve having first and last month, in addition to the current whatever arrangements that each activist already has, until maybe months down the road, God willing, the new residents can move in, and it may take a year, because we're talking about the purchase of the acquisition of an entire building, which includes honoring the standing lease agreements, which may last through a year, and then any renovations or anything else. But that's the other thing as well, is that the consideration is that with this living co-op, this residential co-op, utilizing renewable energy, establishing a renewable energy facility or some type of facility on site, to satisfy the energy needs and equipping the apartment building with a furnace and everything else with renewable energy, potentially off grid, but also particularly off fossil fuel. And so that is a longer term consideration with this residential co-op, but that's part of the intentionality. But also existing as a hub of activity, activism, dialogue, discussion, culture, and additionally, so I mean that's what this area is about. That's the history of Coventry. That's the history of Heights. That is the purpose of our uNi village. So that's the idea. So that's the thought. Just one building at the moment, with or without, in or out of the courtyard project, because the courtyard project has certain parameters involved with it. So this may be something distinct from the courtyard project, and so there are a number of elements that are important in this aspect. One includes the residents, the activists, and getting the activists to encouraging the activists to sign on to the trust compact and put up the resources first and last month's rent for the as kind of like a what would be called? It's other than the seed, because there's absence of investment in this aspect. It's basically just a show of interest to an investor. And then finding an investor who is benevolent, who gets it, because having an investor who has financial resources, so having a considerable amount of financial resources and having an interest in supporting a benevolent cause is often tenuous, so that requires some doing. I do have some people in mind, some friends of mine. It can also be international as well, so the preference is local, but this is I mean, we are part of an international community, so that's part of it. So, and definitely internationally, there's anyway. All right, there are definitely some friends, some supportive friends who are increasingly inclined towards such. Which also includes making it available to the residents available to international activist friends to move here, because occupations are increasingly mobile, and so anyways, that's, yeah, I'm riffing at this point as I'm watching a squirrel do a tightrope walk. So wow. Yo, the squirrel just jumped from one wire to the next. Anyway, all right. So, so that's what the activist flats is about. It's I mean, technically it's kind of like a new project. It's a new business, but it's basically just an extension of things that are previously discussed and planned. So, yeah. My wheels are churning on this thing. So I'm trying to think of what else is appropriate to share, articulate at the moment. Yeah, that seems about it at the moment. And to keep this brief, all right. So that's activist flats, and so that's old business and new business. That brings us to our William Kavitkahick update, our update on our Global Federation of Villages. So I'm uncertain if I shared this in the uNi Village meeting a week ago, but I actually find offices basically within each of the areas of our William Kavitkahick. Either the areas, the immediate metropolitan area, or within the region, the kind of like the multinational region around our metropolitan area. So, but like 90%, it's in the actual metropolitan area, maybe 80%. So with that, we are in the process of constructing a correspondence, basically an email that shares the trust compact. And actually, yeah. So what we're doing at the moment is working on translations of the trust compact, and actually translations at the moment of the wealth ethos. From the different languages into each of the respective languages of our of the specific respective locations of our Wowie and Quebec. So it's as with anything in doing internationally and across borders and across bridges, it's an involved process. And so what takes one person very little to do, and is very quick to do and very simple to do, what takes a village something very little to do and very simple to do, often requires a few additional, is increasingly involved when including a collective of villages, and particularly a collective of villages from different backgrounds, from different histories, lands, experiences, languages, and additionally. So it's a simple endeavor to send email address or email correspondences, and it may seem to be just use Google Translate and call it a day, and send it to the offices, which probably speak English anyways. However, and so what's the big deal of translating it and even getting an authentic translation, and going through all the effort and time and process or hours and process to put that together, and effort to put that together, when it could be just very simple and send it off. But there's purpose within the process, and I'm just gonna keep it at that. Much is learned in the process. Much is cultivated, anyways, much happens in the process itself rather than just in the outcome. So the outcome is just part of the process. So that's where it is. So there is the thought, if it takes an exceedingly long time, then adjustments may be made accordingly. But and as of yet, probably less than half of friends respond to solicitations for translation. So there's some follow up and progression to be made in that respect. But that's what's happening. That's one of the updates. There's also the consideration of sharing this correspondence with co-ops in each of our respective locations as well, of our Wowie and Quebec. So again, this is a work in progress. So that is an update. That's our update for our Wowie and Quebec. That brings us to announcements. So within the past week, Hajj begins within Islam and is continuing today. In the past week, there's Amavasya within Hinduism, and Upasara within Buddhism, Hajj is within Islam, and also this past Friday evening is the commencement of the month of Elul, which is the month preceding the High Holy Days within Judaism. So it's a month of reflection and repentance, and making amends for transgressions in the past year. So we are in the midst of that. Upcoming this week is Feast. Actually in a few days, and that's within the Baha'i faith. Also, again, Friday is Juma within Islam, and Idul Adha is scheduled, is on the calendar within the next week or so. Shabbat is later on this week, and Sunday worship is also on Sunday. Also, this weekend, I think Sunday also brings the new year of the interfaith calendar. So there's that as well. So those are some of the announcements for the next week. Benevolent news. So I'm changing it up a little bit. So honoring and drawing from our native community, and the stand being made in Lakota land. There is an interest in me singing or performing or sharing a healing song from the Lakota tradition. It is there's what is referred to as the Sundance ceremony. This is referred to as a Sundance song, although it is appropriate to recognize that this is other than a performance of the Sundance ceremony, which is a sacred ceremony within the Native tradition, within Lakota tradition. I am untrained, unlearned in the Sundance ceremony per se, so I abstain from offering that. But I offer this healing song for the benefit it provides. There's also the intention of me singing This Little Light of Mine and Lift Every Voice as I do on previous occasions. So with that, this is it. Ate wa kan tonke heo ewe yo. Ate wa kan tonke heo ewe yo. Ate wa kan tonka onche malayo. Oyate zani chimpelo. Heya haya waelo. Heya. Ate wa kan tonka onche malayo. Oyate zani chimpelo. Heya haya waelo. Heya. Ate wa kan tonka heya oyo. Ate wa kan tonka heya oyo. Ate wa kan tonka onche malayo. Oyate zani chimpelo. Heya haya waelo. Heya. Ate wa kan tonka onche malayo. Oyate zani chimpelo. Heya haya waelo. Heya. Ate wa kan tonka heya oyo. Ate wa kan tonka heya oyo. Ate wa kan tonka onche malayo. Oyate zani chimpelo. Heya haya waelo. Heya. Ate wa kan tonka onche malayo. Oyate zani chimpelo. Heya haya waelo. Heya. Ate wa kan tonka heya oyo. Ate wa kan tonka heya oyo. Ate wa kan tonka onche malayo. Oyate zani chimpelo. Heya haya waelo. Heya. Ate wa kan tonka onche malayo. Oyate zani chimpelo. Heya haya waelo. Heya. Ele mayelo wakatonka. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little stand of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little stand of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little stand of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Oh, yeah. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmony of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the darkness has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. That brings us to our benediction. May all beings be well. So the hour is 15:57, and this weekly meeting of our uNi Village is officially adjourned. Namaste. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom. Adios. Zaijen. One. Asamodu. Love and peace.